has called a press conference, made this announcement. He said he'll be putting 12 people before court. Now, the figures he has shared are startling, aren't they?
They are indeed.
And
but it's not surprising because they were already talking about these things before, even I think before before this time.
I mean,
so it was suspect.
Usually when prosecution side puts up issues in court, they sound very scary. But when the rubber hits the road, then it becomes a different issue. Proving these allegations would be difficult. There's even a view that the Attorney General should not have called a press conference to make the announcement he made and rather put this evidence in court. I don't know what's your view.
It's true that sometimes what you say at the beginning, you're not able to actually prove it in court. But that depends on the evidence that you are able to gather. If you are not able to gather enough evidence and put a good docket before the court, you may lose. But you also have to agree that sometimes the courts can also, corruption is not only with one side of the country. The judiciary, for announced investigation and other reports, there can also be corruption in the judiciary. They can be influenced in one way or the other to temper with the evidence that the decision that you would have expected. So that's one. However, about putting it in a press conference, I don't have a problem with that. It only needs to make it clear that these are allegations that have not been approved. But you see, you want to tell people why you are sending the people to court. It's transparency. And one way of fighting corruption is public exposure, naming and shaming. So you mention these names, say, these people are alleged to have done 1, 2, 3, and because of that we are sending to court. If you just send it court quietly, or you arrest them quietly, what I'm going to say is witch hunting. So I think that I don't have a problem with he coming out to address the press conference to tell us the problems that, the situation and why he's sending the people to court. I think that's fine.
Does it also have any impact on the general fight against corruption? Do you think this will scare anybody?
Yes, I believe that it should. Of course, we're in a situation where there's a lot of impunity with public officials or even people engaged in corrupt acts. So it may not, but normally it should scare people. Because if you are sitting and watching TV with your children and it comes out on TV that, you have been engaged in some corrupt acts, the amount of money, then the children and your wife begin to wonder, so is that why we are living this type of life? So that is something that should be able to scare people, at least people who plan in the future to do the same thing from doing it. Especially if they are dragged to court, it would definitely scare people. You know what happened during the revolutionary days in the early 80s, when they were investigating people on corruption. It's scared people. I know that I was working in the IRS, and there was a time people were going to pay tax. Voluntarily, they were not assessed. They just came and take this as my tax and issue me the receipt. Because they didn't want to be taken to police service.
Now,
so it scares people.
So he has made the announcement. He has said he's going to go to court. How soon would you advise the court process to begin? And again, the issue of delays in justice administration. On the one hand, the people who have been named, they may plead guilty or otherwise. If they plead otherwise, then it means their names, of course, have been put in the mud. Some of them, one at least, is a member of parliament currently. How do you deal with this issue so that they do not become politicized? Because a lot of the times, our corruption cases get politicized and then the substance is lost. How do you reckon the non-politicization can happen this time?
Well, as for not politicizing it, it's very difficult. And that's one of the problems with corruption, fighting corruption in Ghana. Once you belong to a political party, sometimes people, your party members do not even know what you have done. They don't even talk to you to find out whether the governor, the accuser has accused or not, and they just start. Sometimes they arrest somebody and go put at the NIB or whatever, and the people they go there to sit there the whole night, bonfire and that kind of thing. I think that is not helping us in the fight against corruption. But as for the delays, as I've said, it is not the Attorney General that should. He's not the only one that will determine the pace of the prosecution, because the people will now be asked to get their lawyers, and the judiciary, the courts to have their own program already. So that one we cannot determine, unfortunately.
Very well. We'll watch the space and see how things pan out. Before you go, there was a major announcement from the presidency about the contract with the sanitation company Zoom Lion. I don't know if you care to comment on that briefly before you go, if you have seen it.
Yes. In fact, Manasa Zero has worked on this for a very long time. Some of us expressed our concerns. Even one time, I think it was Sierra Leone, the World Bank that listed the company in Sierra Leone or Liberia. And the media came in and meddled matters. You see, sometimes the one-sided, the media does not help us in the fight against corruption. And some media houses. When this was happening, I was at Ghana Integrity Initiative. We issued a press statement on it, and a journalist came to my office to try to convince me that there was no case. We don't have to paint the person black. Some will come and say, you're worrying private business, you don't want private business. That is not the point. The point is the fellow is alleged to have committed a crime. Is it true or not? You should look at that and not what the effect will be.
Would you want to mention the name of this journalist who came to say this to you?
No. It's a long time ago. I wouldn't like to do that.
Very well.
I don't want to be sent to court.
Because you cannot prove what you are claiming. What does it say to President Mahama's anti-corruption or transparency campaign?
I think that there are signs that he's determined, and he has got an Attorney General who is also able to pursue these things. What I would like to say, President Mahama, is not to have to get involved, not to try to influence whatever direction that these issues go. It should leave it to the appropriate institutions to investigate and prosecute when the need arises.
Thank you for speaking to us, sir.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
You too. That's Vitus Azeem. He is former head of GIA, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the local chapter of Transparency International. He's an anti-corruption